These words right now are coming from a Starbucks. I'm not in one right now, I'm presenting, but the words that you're hearing were written inside of one. The coffee is really, really awful. The guy sat next to me looks suspiciously like the same man who last cut my hair at what he cheerfully described as the most sexist barber in Brighton. I didn't know this before going, obviously, but right now I'm more just nervous that someone's looking at my screen, reading the words that I'm writing right now. Words about a board game called Rummikub. Someone else is writing code that's producing reams of Byzantine graphs, someone is feeding their newborn child a vegetable slurry, and two large men are having what looks like an intense and important discussion over a folded copy of the Daily Something, either Mail or Express. A small milk jug is covering the offending article. A finger is being jabbed into the centre of the paper, and my amateur lip reading just scribes the word petrol. The point here is that these people are probably doing something more important and interesting than reviewing a 1977 tile-laying game that has a whole 6.4 on Board Game Geek. Even the lady who's fallen asleep in the corner. I got a case of New Year's writer's block, and it's writer's block for a review that I don't really know why I'm writing. A review for a game that I would charitably describe as alright, yeah. But this script, right? It's a worm in my brain. It's an itch that I can't scratch. It's a contractually obliged piece of writing that I need to make so that I can eat dinner. And before you ask, yes, dinner tonight is another can of tomatoes. Cheers. Even just starting the script might be a fruitless critical endeavour, because I do think that the definitive piece on Rummikub in 2023 has already been written. It's 15 words long, and it comes from BGG user Ra100, who writes, "Rearranging the board is satisfying, but it's way too luck-based. More activity than game." More activity than game. It's just so direct. It's just so piercing. It's so true. 6 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, in fact, looking at the rest of Ra100's critical patina, maybe this is the kind of vigour that Shut Up and Sit Down really needs. Someone prepared to take a shot at the king and give Codenames a 5 out of 10? A deserved 4 out of 10 for Betrayal at House on the Hill? Giving chess an 8 out of 10 with just the justification, chess is hard? Christ. Why go on, you know? Maybe critically Shut Up and Sit Down is better off delivering snippy microorganisms of reviews, tiny little things that cut to the core of the matter. It would save people a lot of time.
Cards are the tiles of the hand. You only need one Uwe Rosenberg farming game, and it's Newsfjord. Board games should either be too big or too small.
I wonder if Ra100 would appreciate the 3-star rating system that I've been using recently. 3-star for anything that's essential and unmissable, 2 stars for everything that's worth your time for whatever reason, and 1 star for everything that is downright bad but also could be described as alright or decent, because you've only got so many hours in the day to consume media, and none of them should be spent on the subpar. Because you're worth it. But let's turn to the here and now. Let's take a look at what is apparently the subject of today's video, which is Rummikub, a 1.5-star game. Now you might be thinking to yourself that the fact that the first thing that I review with my 3-star rating system doesn't receive a clean 1 out of 3 rating might suggest that I'm not taking it seriously, that maybe it's a punchline, maybe that I lack critical conviction, maybe that I lack the necessary facilities to be a critic, maybe that I lack basic intelligence. So what is Rummikub? Well, first off, it has tiles. Pleasing, clacky tiles. You start with 14 of them on your rack, and you have to empty this rack by playing tiles to the table in sets. 3 or more tiles of the same colour, one after another, counts as a set, or 3 or more tiles of the same value, regardless of colour, is also a set, runs in groups. And on your turn, you may play any such set, or instead have to take 3 tiles from the bag, pushing you further from winning the game because you need to clear your board to win the game. But here's the thing, not only can you just play sets directly from your rack, but you can also manipulate sets. Someone's got a set of 7s on the table, and that orange 7 on the end can be pinched alongside your orange 5 and 6 to make a juicy little run of your own. And oh, how about snapping that run in two, pinching the middle 6 to start a new set of 6s over here. Snip, steal, split, trim, take, add, divide, shift. A lovely dance of numbers pressed into beige. Rummikub presents you with a slate of opportunities, if only you have the brain to grasp them. The decision space creeps upwards from a slow start into a dizzying array of options and opportunities to shake those tiles from your rack, pinching and poking and prodding your plays, attempting to clear your board in a flurry of activity where you manipulate the numbers into new, dangerous and sexy shapes. A bottom, a top, a gland, a naked man on top of a stepladder. The possibilities are, well, they're actually pretty limited. There's only so many sexy shapes you can make with beige oblong tiles. Believe me, I tried. The essential Rummikub feeling to me is that tension before the end of the round, when you've just got a few tiles left to play on your board and you know that everyone else has just a few tiles as well, and you're gently peering at what's on the table, trying to plot a course through the tiles so that when it comes to your turn, you can do a whirlwind sprint of playing every single thing from your board in one fell swoop. But can you do it? There's just a little bit too much information to keep it all in your head at once, and when you start laying those tiles without the end in sight, you're gently sweating because you know that if you mess this up, we're probably going to have to reset the table, and that's going to be a real pain. So if you could actually remember what the table looked like beforehand before I start playing things, that'd be great. And once someone has declared Rummikub by clearing their board, it's scoring time. Everyone loses points equal to the tiles they have left, and the Rummikubber gets the sum of those negative points in positive points. You play as many rounds as there are players, and that is the game. Now there's subtle edges to this, right? You can hold back crucial tiles on your board to starve the other players of oxygen. You can know when to gamble on the tempo of the table when pulling tiles from the bag, so you're not left short when the round closes. But those things don't really matter. What matters is the simplicity and tactility of this family game that is effortless to sit around, agonizingly simple to teach, and delightfully Moorish. But also there's not much edge, there's not much strategy. You know, like, rearranging the board is satisfying, but it's way too luck-based. It's just more of an activity than a game. Oh, god damn it. Rummikub is not some grand opus of a board game, a beautiful glittering box, a hot new thing that'll blow everyone away. It's just a north of decent, simple family weight thing that I've played a good chunk of recently and maybe examined a little too hard for its own good. It is overly reliant on luck. There is substantial downtime clearing away all these tiles back to the box and dealing them out again. There is that weird rule where you need to make 30 points on your first play that I don't really entirely understand why is there. It is a 1.5-star game, but it might be a 3-star activity. Listen, that gentle reliance on luck evens the playing field in a way that the people who aren't just the best at games will win. The tactility of the tiles and the board you have in front of you allows a level of player independence about how you organize your resources. The downtime becomes a feature, not a bug, as you amiably chat around the game, where the tactical matters far more than strategic. And all of these little pieces add up to a game that your family, who know what you do for a living, bug you over and over again to do a review of the game. I know you're watching, gang. Please don't comment. My family are not often fond of games. When we play games, I get requests to bring things that are not games. I'm still trying to work out entirely what that means, and I think it means that they want activities, of which Rummikub, of course, is. It possesses this completely edgeless design that means it's truly accessible, going so far as to actually be more generous and easygoing than its namesakes, Rummy or Gin Rummy. But it's more of an excuse, right? To just get people who you love round a table, and it tempts you into this space with false advertising. Rummikub makes two assertions on its box. The first is that it's the UK's #1 family strategy game, which, you know, is a lie. Duh, it's Brass Birmingham, because Birmingham is from here. But the second assertion is that it brings people together, which I think is less of a lie. Without getting too saccharine and gooey here, I genuinely do owe a lot to Rummikub as being the game that genuinely all of my family sat down to play this Christmas, from age 13 to 83. That's kind of amazing, and I think it works because Rummikub does work better as an activity than a game. It should say on the box, the UK's #1 family activity. Although that might also be a lie because everyone knows the UK's #1 family activity is simmering resentment. But it's games like this that skew our perspective on what's good, what's important, and what's valued in games. Rummikub is interesting to me precisely because it's not concerned with the design ideas that we're often looking at on this channel in newer releases. It succeeds in an entirely different way that I really do cherish. I don't entirely know why I made this video, really. I think it might just be to squeeze some kind of use out of the games of Rummikub I played over Christmas, but at the same time, I do think it's important to sometimes get a critical reset on things. I'm always chasing showing something new to my friends and family, right? Something that's flashy and novel, and that means it's good, right? Never more have I felt that to be truer than here, where these clacky plastic tiles mostly just serve as a way of spending quality time with my loved ones. This Rummikub experience has genuinely made me slightly reappraise how I look at this hobby, in searching for good times that stem from the perfect balance between people and play. And now it's time for the scores. Thanks very much for watching this video. I'm sorry it's a bit shorter, weirder, more rambly than you're probably used to. I feel like I just need to shake off some of the January cobwebs. It's a new year. You forget how to do your job over Christmas. That happens to everyone, right? If you want to support us, we've got a Patreon. You can check it out over here. But more importantly, if you want more of our stuff, we've got a podcast. We've got a really good podcast. I think it's fun. I spend a lot of time making it good, making it polished, making it nice. So if you want to check that out, it's right here. Cover a load of games that we cover in videos, but also a load of games that you might never have heard of. Some games that only get covered on the podcast. Check it out over here. That's the end of this plug section. Thanks for watching this video about a weird family game. See ya!